Hi Beauty Fam! I have the new NATASHA DENONA GLAM face palettes in both light and dark, and I'll be trying those on today. And I have not seen any reviews, and I have not opened these yet. So you'll be opening with these with me. So these, I ended up getting these in the Sephora VIB sale. And I believe that they're both in stock. I think the light one was the one that was most sought after, and I believe both of them are back in stock. And I love that she did a light and dark palette to choose from. So these retail at $59. And so with the 20% off, you know, I was able to get a discount on these. It says it provides maximum color payoff with minimal effort, blending seamlessly to achieve vibrant, ultra-pigmented looks. These rich pressed pigmented shadows and blushes leave the skin with an optimal texture and comfortable all-day wear. Shades and formulas were hand-designed by world-renowned makeup artist NATASHA DENONA, made with the highest quality pure color pigments, dazzling chroma crystals, and luminous mineral pearls. Its buttery smooth hydrating eyeshadow formula wears beautifully on any skin type and skin tone. It says it's cruelty-free, paraben-free, and made in Italy. The reason I ended up getting both face palettes is that she's done this concept of light and dark palettes to choose from before. And as some of you remember, it was like a really big palette, and there was one with like a yellow highlighter. And I think I ended up getting the deep one. And here's the thing where, and I know what my bias is, I tend to not like face palettes. And the reason why is it's probably maybe the opposite of why people do like face palettes, is that people like the convenience of everything in one palette for traveling, or that it's just in one location. For me, it's just, again, it's just my thing. And I don't know if others feel the same way. If I'm getting a palette, I really want all of the colors and all the textures to work well for me. So sometimes if it's just one product in the pans of the palette that don't work, it can be okay if the rest of the palette is fantastic. But it starts to get like more than one to maybe two of the pans that don't work for me for some reason, either color or texture wise. I don't like it. So my preference and bias is that I tend to like matte, non-glittery, super shimmery highlights and blushes. So I just want to add that as a caveat now, just so you know kind of where I'm at, because that's going to be my bias in terms of reviewing preferences, reviewing these palettes. Because the color store could be fine, and you could be fine with the pigment and the formulation as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. There's others who actually don't like the added texture too as well. And so I have aging skin. I have rosacea here. So, you know, it really does show up texture really easily. And I don't prefer blingy highlights. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So this is the packaging. It's kind of strange. You can see me right here. I'm having a moment. So here is the NATASHA DENONA light palette. And here is the NATASHA DENONA dark palette. And I'm putting it up because I don't want to reflect anything else in my room here or the studio lighting. So again, here's the light and here's the deep dark. Let's do the dark one first. And I think this is the one that I was going to gravitate to, but in all honesty, like, I'm losing my summer tan, and because I'm in the medium tan spectrum, sometimes depending on the artist's interpretation of what is light and deep, I could go either way. So that's why I ended up picking up both. It's easier for me if, in my experience, if I prefer that the pigments on eyeshadows and palettes are a bit deeper, because then I can always go light-handed, versus if it's too light, it tends to be so annoying to me to have to build up the product, and also that it can turn ashy on me. So that's just something to note. So here is the deep palette. It is more beautiful than actually in the pictures. So here is the mini glam. I just want to show you in terms of perspective, like the size. Lengthwise it is the same, but height it's about, I would say, close to almost an inch difference. Okay. I'm looking at the pan sizes of these palettes here. They're about the same size. Can you see that? For a moment, I thought these were smaller than these palettes, but they're actually the same. Some people were futzing a little bit about this wasted space. It doesn't bother me so much, but I think that's just like a design thing. These are a new formula and they might have some cream elements. So there's a cover here, and this is, I'm not going to take this off because I kind of like that it's kept clean. Okay, so let me move to the light palette. And this is the light palette. Beautiful packaging right off the bat. I'm really feeling the color. It's like, it reminded me of a rose gold. I think it's really beautiful. Here is the light palette. And I do think the colors are going to be too light for me, but here's the thing with NATASHA Denona, and this is why I ended up picking up both palettes, is that the colors that you may see here and even to the naked eye are sometimes deceiving. So what might be really looks light in the pan ends up being deeper when you actually apply it, or actually a different color altogether, like a deeper undertone. So the eyes are not what they seem of what you see, that it's best to just try it. And even in the swatching, sometimes it's just best to try it on. So that's why I ended up getting both. Off the bat, I think that blush looks really beautiful. It's like this terracotta. Do you see that here? That's more of the actual, it actually matches my shirt a little bit. It's more of like a terracotta. There we go. That's more of the actual color. Terracotta, the shimmer shades here. This looks like a transition. Well, I don't, again, I'm sure people have said something about these. I am going to ignore the suggestions of what these should be. And what yes, these are not removable, which is a shame because anyway, I think it's a lost opportunity that these are not removable pans, because I love to move my colors around, right? It doesn't have holes in the back. So there was that whole debacle about this palette, which I try not to be salty with, but I was salty a little bit enough that I did not pick up this palette for over a year. I decided finally to get it after a year and after on sale because of the suggestions of what shades should be used for what, defaulting on light skin tones again. Again, the default is always centering a certain preference of skin tone, and that irked me. And so what I did is went on and looked up the medium to dark to see which one was going to be best for me, and I rearranged them. So that is to say that her team suggests where these should go. I am going to ignore those because these are going to be different depending on your skin tone, whether it's super light, medium, dark, deep, black. I'm just going to ignore them. So, and then let me compare these like side by side next to each other. So what I'm going to do is try to pull back, because if I go too close, it washes out the colors. Okay. Definitely a difference. This is definitely deeper. It's in the same kind of color family, but this is definitely deeper. This is a little bit more gold. This is lighter. And the shimmers, ooh, it reminds me a little bit of the bronze palette. So yeah, the deeper shimmers. Okay, I'm excited. And I'm just a little bit sad that you can't remove at least the eyeshadow pans. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and start swatching these? And I'm going to start with the deep ones. And I'm starting with the top. Ooh, I should not have gone that dig. Okay, do not dig in that one. Go gentle. Okay. Okay, so that is the deep palette. Really pretty. And then we'll come back up so you can see that one. Beautiful. Just so you can see how it can be built up. Okay, I'm going into what they're calling the cream blush and the Star Glow, which I'm assuming is the highlight. Okay, so just doing that. Feels very creamy, like a cream to matte formula maybe. It feels creamy. And I think I read or heard that you can't use it on your eyelids. And let me look that up to make sure if that's actually true. So that is the blush, that's the highlight. Ooh, definitely creamy. That's interesting. Okay. And here's the highlight. Whoa, that's fair. It's going to be a blingy highlight. Okay, just fair warning for me not to go heavy on that. I am super interested in that. I'm going to swatch that again. Really, well, it builds up. Here, that's the second swatch. Here's the second swatch of the blush. It's almost like a light cream blush, but I also want to just diffuse it a little bit to see what that will actually look like as a blush. Pretty. Let me hide a little bit so my shirt's not influencing so much the comparison. I am so excited to use that deep palette. So starting with the shimmer shade on top, this one, and this. There is some fallout. So the shimmer shades they're great for Natasha Denona, but they sometimes can be crumbly. Just note that. Okay, so starting with, and I'm swatching it to the analogous shadow. So did you see that? I mean, that's what I mean by the crumble. So some literally just fell. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, sorry about that swatch. Okay, here's light. Here's deep. And this is what they would call the transition shade. So someone with me with medium tan, that's not a transition shade. That would be like a highlight or inner corner, or just a matting down color to even out my skin tone. So sorry about this one. It's hard to do swatches this way. Some of it's starting to crumble already. I believe it's from the shadow or anyway, it's one of the shimmers. It's starting to crumble already. And this is what I do not like about Natasha Denona. Sorry, not sorry for unpopular opinion. I do have most of her products, but I think, you know, it's fair to just add what's the good and the pros and the cons, that sometimes there is fallout with these products. So just something to note. So second go round. Okay, oops, see, okay, did you see that? There was some fallout already. Oh, there she is. So some of that literally fell right here. And that was from the top shade. Okay, noted. You saw it before your very eyes, friends. Going into the cream shadow. Cream blush is what they're calling it. That one and that one. Oh, interesting. Yes, it's a brighter highlight for my skin tone. This one I might be able to get away with. That's the second time, and that's the second time with a highlighter. That is definitely going to be too frosty white for a highlighter for me. So let me do what I did with this cream blush in the deep palette. Let's see what that looks like a little bit diffused. Okay, so this is why I end up getting two palettes, because I think for some of us with, depending on our complexion and skin tones, that we could traverse either one, but that depending on the interpretation of the artist, that clearly that's not going to be a transition shade for me. And this is why I usually default on the deeper palettes, because I can make these work for me and that'll look great. Where these, I'm just, we're talking like Ash City here. But we're gonna do it for the sake of the video, like one side, and see what it looks like. Okay, so going into the deep palette and going into what is labeled the transition shade, I'm just taking my Rougher 15 brush, and because I think it's going to be pigmented, I'm just kind of tapping it off. And sometimes if you think it's going to be pigmented, you could also just dab it also on your hand. Okay, so far that's really pretty. A Wayne Goss 04 squirrel hair brush. I'm just trying to see if the squirrel hair is going to lay down the product matte shades better than the Goat Hair. So I'm just kind of, I tapped in more product, tapping it down, and then going back in to brush it out. There we go. Okay, really pretty. And you should probably just know, if you're new to my channel, I think the way Natasha Denona usually uses her shadows is that her tendency is to really pack on the color for really super intense smoky looks. And that is not my aesthetic. I find that doesn't work well for me, at least just subjectively. Like, that's not my look that I prefer, because I already have hooded lids. And so I feel like it makes my eyes look smaller. So I tend to do really more soft glam looks, if that helps. Okay, so what I'm doing is going in with my Hakuhodo brush. I always do this every time. I don't think it has a number. It's basically this dome-shaped brush, which, if you can see here, can you see better? It's a dome-shaped brush. Oh, I love to use it as like to planning the color in the corner on here. Going into what's labeled the crease shade. Okay, so that's super smoky. I don't think I want to add more. What I'm going to do is take a Wayne Goss 03 brush and just, it's clean, and I'm just going to diffuse the colors a little bit more. Really pretty. Oh, the outer quarter shade. I'm not going to put that all in my mobile lid. So I'm taking that outer corner bronze shade, and I'm tapping some excess because I can see there's some fallout already, and using this, laying it over that deep shade that I just smoked out in the corner. I don't know if you can see so much. Let me get in a little bit closer. Okay, that's it. I don't want to fuss too much. Now I'm taking that inner corner color here. I'm flipping my brush, and I want to show you what it looks like without using that Astral Eyes first. And then I'm going to go into that Pat McGrath Astral Eyes. So I can see again, there's like fallout. I'm just going to tap off my brush and just pack it on very delicately. It's tapping. I'm not like super being aggressive of putting it on my eye. And this is what I remember about Natasha Denona, because of her shimmer shadows have some fallout. Take my Wayne Goss 05 brush, and I'm actually going into that highlight shade, and I'm going to use it up here. And it is, you know, it is a eye and face palette. So, you know, that's why I was wondering if you can use that blush color, because, you know, you should be able to use it all over your face, but I guess you can't. So I'm taking that highlight color, using it for my inner corner highlight, shaking off the brush for any fallout. Dragging it under here for my under eye. So the Lotus series soft definer and the flat definer from the Sky series. I wish they sold these separately. Maybe they do. At some point I'll probably pick up an extra set of those two. So I'm taking the transition shade very lightly, this transition shade here, and using my soft definer, tapping it, and just I'm going to run that color just slightly down here, just to join and connect the two. Okay, I'm gonna smoke it out a little bit. It's supposed to be a glam palette. And then taking the pointy part of this flat definer, using some of that crease shade to deepen up that color. And just, you know, I have not used that smoke shade, so I'm gonna go into that. Oh, I can see it's really pigmented. Okay, so I'm going to use that to deepen up. In a way, I use it as an eyeliner. Do you see that? Using the smoke shade again, the deepest one here, and run it a little bit over up here. So in a way, you could use this palette, use the colors, and then cleaning this off. I'm cleaning this off to just blend the colors. You could use this palette, even parts of it as an eyeliner. So I'm just going in and kind of smoking that out, so it's just like a little bit seamless. So super smoky right away. If you didn't want it to get that smoky, then you don't have to use the deepest smoke shade. That color is just going to be really beautiful. I'm going to take my tried and true mini booster, this one here. Sorry, I'm just going to grab it. Crease shade, and then just diffuse it a little bit, and then kind of bring it up here. See what happens. This is a very smoky glam palette, at least the deep one. I think it's really pretty. McGrath wand, and this is bugging me because I know that I should probably hold this up for you. I'm taking ASMR moment. Taking that off because why not use this mirror? That's beautiful. It's a huge mirror. It's beautiful. I am running this all across my lid. It's the Pat McGrath IntensifEYES wand. I'm going to take my finger in a corner shade, and then I'm going to drag it on here. See that? So it just really intensifies these shimmer shades. And moreover, it stops like the crazy fallout. Okay. I'm going to say it before I forget, because I might forget this in the review. What I do remember about these NATASHA Denona shadows, particularly the shimmer shades, is that the more wrinkles you have and the more you build it up, the more you see the wrinkles. I don't find that to be so much with Pat McGrath, but I find that to be at least for me and my wrinkles, that you start to see more texture and wrinkles as I build it up. You might not see it here. I don't know if you can, but I can see that there's more texture and you can see more of my wrinkles on it. Going back into that highlight shade. It is a bit cumbersome to have to do that, just something to note. And then going into that. Now I gotta flip it down to use my mirror. I'm gonna flip it back up to use it. Okay. Do I see some fallout? Yes, it's not as bad as I thought. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to brush it away. I'm so glad I did that. And the last step I'm going to do is I think I'm going to buff out or just blend this all out. Again, taking my Wayne Goss 03 brush. And already I can see flecks of the shimmer. I don't know if you can see it, that it's some fallout. Again, I haven't seen anyone else's review. I try not to really watch anyone's review before I do my videos, especially if it's a first impression. Okay, so I think that's it for this look. What it looks like with studio lighting with like a cool light. I'm going to take my rougher 05 brush, which is a blush brush. It's kind of big, but it's probably one of the most cleanest ones. I'm going to take some of that and see how that looks. There we go. Okay, I can't tell if it has shimmer or if it's just residual fallout from the shadow. I don't think it does. No, there's a little bit of glitter shimmer in there. But it doesn't look bad in terms, it doesn't emphasize texture. You tell me what you think. So let me back up so you can see it. With intense blushes, I tend to lay it higher because, okay. Leave it at that. My Detail Pro brush, Sonia G, with this highlighter. And just tapping ever so lightly. And actually I'm gonna do this to make sure there's not too much, because it's easier to build than to take away. So I'm just kind of going in here with the highlighter. You see that? And that's all I want. Okay, I'm gonna lower the light a little bit because I think it's almost a little bit too contrasty. That's actually probably a truer color. Okay, that's really pretty. I'm liking the blush so far. I'm liking the eye look. I'm gonna grab a little bit more to see how buildable the blush is. And what I don't know if I'm gonna finish with bronzer today because that might affect the look. Okay, so that's it for the deep side is this side. Okay, and then I will come back and we'll do the light side. ASMR moment. It looks like it's starting to crumble and come out of the pan already. I did not drop this, so I'm just a little about that. Like, don't like that it's falling apart already. A Hakuhodo brush J5522 into the transition color and see if that actually shows up on me. See. It's barely discernible as a transition shade. I'm going in with my 01 Rephr brush and using what they call the crease shade and actually using that as my transition shade. So just kind of going back over that. That's much better. Transition shade was pretty much a bust for me. The crease shade was what I really need to deepen the corner, but it didn't really do too much deepening. So I'm just wondering if we can go into the smoke shade, which actually might do better as my actual crease shade. Taking my Wayne Goss 18 brush and going into this smoke shade here. Okay, it's kind of starting to look muddy on me a little bit. I can't really discern between the three anymore. Okay, so that was 3 shades, a lot of fuss for not much impact. Okay, I'm just gonna go in with my fingers. This is the one that had fallout. I wanna see what happens if I just go ahead and okay. There's definitely fallout right here. Soft shader, Sonia G Sky Set. I'm going to that same outer corner shade. I'm sighing because there's just a lot of fallout and I'm frustrated. So I don't know if you can see the pan here. Just kind of a little annoyed by that. Okay, so I'm trying to pack that on without too much action because it's got a lot of fallout. And I think this palette has even more fallout than the dark shade. the dark palette. Okay, I'm taking a MAC, and I've had this since I started using makeup, so it doesn't have a number anymore. It's just one of these dome brushes. And I'm using this inner corner shade here. That's a pretty color. Also a lot of fallout, but not as much as the outer corner. And then I'm taking again that same inner corner shade here, just tapping off my brush a little bit, and then adding it here. Some contrast. It's definitely more of like a white gold, and the other was more like a champagne gold, if you can tell. And it is a really pretty color. The Pat McGrath IntensifEYES wand, and I'm gonna run it across the crease, this here. It's such a shame that this has so much fallout because it's a really beautiful color. Taking Sony G Mini Booster and then going into again that smoke shade here at the bottom, and then see if I can build that up. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop because this is what I mean when I'm working hard to make it work. And she's quitting on me. So I'm just gonna take some of that crease shade here and run it along. Barely tell that I'm putting on. Taking some of this soft definer from the Lotus series, brush again, taking some of that smoke shade. What I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see it, there's a lot more fallout from the outer crease light shade, which again is a shame because it's so pretty. I'm taking my Wayne Goss brush and going into my Sisley and just grabbing more powder and see if I can brush some of that fallout away. Much better, although the flakes have fallen to my lips and is now on my, it's like all over here. And then it's on my lips, or my upper lip and here. Taking a clean Rephr 04 brush, going into this blush shade here. She shows up, that blush, it's more pinky on me, if you can see. This will definitely not show up if you have a deeper complexion on me. I think you'd have to work a lot hard, and it might not even show up. Okay, I'm cleaning off this brush, my Sony G Detail Pro. I'm cleaning that off. Okay, so I'm going into that highlight shade here. Ooh. In real life, it just would be too much for me. It looks a little bit icy. Do you see that icy compared to this one, which is like more natural and a little bit golder, more warm tone? Okay, I think I'm done. I'm done with the light palette. The Tom Ford Gold Dust with my Sony G Face Pro. Okay, beauty fam, I'm back. I finished my eye look and I included some of my lipstick that I put on. On this side is the deep palette and on this side is the light. And I imagine, and I don't have this palette, but I had seen reviews, I imagine that these palettes are similar, if not the same material as the Patrick Ta palettes, the one, that neutral brown palette that everyone was kind of looking at earlier this year. So what I'm doing while I'm talking to you, I'm taking my cloth and cleaning it because it is a fingerprint magnet, and any sort of, I would say if you're a professional working artist, like you're gonna hate this because it's like any sort of like tackiness, like here, I'm gonna show you, like and my hands are like really dry. They're not even wet or didn't even put cream on it. So it is a fingerprint mess magnet. I will show you this one, without me cleaning it. So that's one thing. You might not be bothered by that, but I don't like, maybe this is like just a little bit of my OCD-esque personality. I don't like when my products look like they're messy or dirty. That's just me. So of course I'm cleaning it for you because, you know, I care about y'all. So I clean that off. This is the light, this is the deep, and I'm tilting it so you don't see the lights. Just so I'm laughing because it's beautiful on theory, but like execution, it's gonna be just so messy. Let's talk about the palettes. I think they're really pretty. If you're new to NATASHA Denona and you have not tried her products or because they're spendy, there's no way around it. Like, I think her most affordable ones are these 5 pans, which I actually think they're really great. These tend to be more concise and purposefully curated. And I'm finding, and I have to say, guys, I think I'm falling out of love with NATASHA Denona. Like, I think this is beautiful, but I don't think it's anything new. I just think I like the idea of these glam face palettes. So these sold out really fast during the Sephora sale. So I think if you're new to NATASHA Denona, is it worth getting? Yes. So depending on your complexion, get the one that you're gonna think is gonna work for you. So just my first impressions, right? This is the first time I'm opening and trying these. Like, if you're my complexion or deeper, I don't get the light palette. That is just my opinion. Now, I know there are some content creators who definitely, I think, I just saw their thumbnails, they picked up the light and it looks pretty, but I mean, look at that. I maybe it's just me. I just don't like the crease shade. To me, it looks ashy and muddy. Like, I have 3 different colors there and I don't think it looks pretty. What I do think is pretty are these shimmer shades. I wish that the shimmer shades here were the ones in here, but unfortunately you can't mix and match. And even if I wanted to afford like these $59 palettes each and then mix and match them, these pans do not come out. So I'm a little frustrated with that, because if I'm stuck with these and I bought these already, I would have loved to like take out maybe even this one down here and change it out with one of these. So that's something to note. It might not bother you. I mean, I think these are beautiful. It's a shame there's so much fallout in there. And actually I'm looking at it and it looks like it could fall out of the pan. So that bothers me a little bit. Like, there's so much fallout already. Can you see that in this pan? This one in particular, she's high maintenance. She's your pretty friend. She's your friend who's fun, who's like good time, and she's the life of the party. But boy, is she a hot mess by like midnight. You know, she's just like a lot of mess and you don't know if it's worth it. So, you know, I'm kind of like, yeah, she's gorgeous. Look, she's so pretty. Look how pretty she is. Look how pretty she is. But by midnight, she's all over everyone else and making a mess everywhere. So I mean, it just got everywhere here. So I don't know, guys, friends. I made the blush work. You know, I think it's a lighter. I think this would be good for daytime, but I don't think this is the daytime palette. I think this is like an evening glam going out palette. Yeah, I would have to make that work, and I'm not that deep. I'm like tan, losing my tan. This is too icy for me, but it's fine. I actually like this more than this eye look. Like, I like the colors of the shimmers, but I hate the fallout. I don't want to say hate. I dislike the fallout, and I really dislike the muddiness. So clearly, I don't think this is made for me, right? Clearly, it's called the light palette. So moving on to this, I do like her. I think she's great. So if you're my skin tone and undertone and you're wondering which one, get this one, because you're not gonna, I mean, I was struggling to make this work, whereas this one was much easier. Now, love the mattes, the tones. I think if you're new to NATASHA Denona, people are on the other side of the fence. Some people really love her mattes, her creamy mattes, and some people really don't like them, and I understand why. If my eyes are not set and primed and powdered, these things tend to drag on my eyelids, and it takes more work to blend and buff it out compared to, say, like a Viseart matte eyeshadow, which I think are one of the best, if not the best, matte eyeshadows out there. And they're my favorite matte eyeshadows. These are a little bit high maintenance to me. It takes a while to make it work, and I do get frustrated with this because the market is so flooded and saturated with eyeshadows that what I'm looking for is ease of use at this point and quality. So this is quality, high quality, but ease of use, you know, I have to work to make this work, and that I have to work to blend it out. But you know, look at that, that's beautiful. I mean, I love the gradation on it. The colors, oh, where is it? The colors here of the mattes. I do wish this was like more of either a plummy brown or a cocoa brown. This has more red in it, and this is more of like a, you can see there's like a gray black in it, like a taupe color. I just wish there was like a deeper cocoa. That would be really cool if that were just like a different color, like a deeper color. And I was gonna say something orange or rust, but I think then you're starting to get in the bronze palette territory. So I think for me, this is a little bit too deep, and that's just my preference. She's pretty, but you know, I think she's a little bit too deep for me. And that's what I meant. Like, if we could take these out, I would have switched out probably this one for one of the shimmers in here, the high maintenance one, your high maintenance friend. Everyone has one of them. Y'all know, y'all have a high maintenance friend. Don't pretend you don't. You have the high maintenance friend who's the life of the party, who she enters the room, or he or she, and then they're just so fun, and like, when it's bad, it's bad, but when it's good, it's good. So that's what I mean. Like, it's bad, like that was falling up, but like, boy, was she pretty. It's gorgeous. But do I want to deal with it on a daily basis? No, just for special occasions, like the special party, and then I'm like, I'm done with you at midnight. This one, the inner corner, I think it's pretty. I like it. It's like this gold shimmer. I do like this blush. I think it's really pretty. Let me swatch that. And it's got this creamy consistency. I think this is the new formula. So I'm feeling it. It's great. It doesn't have too much shimmer. I was worried about getting that. So I didn't end up keeping that other face palette because it was too shimmery. And that's what I was worried about with this palette, that these were going to be too shimmery. And I actually want to go in with a little bit more of this blush to see how much I can build it up. Look at that. Beautiful. And too bad you can't use that on your eyes, but it's probably got some special formula, right? It's probably irritant for the eyes, but I think that's beautiful. I mean, it matches the terracotta, but it's just, I love it. I love it. This is a great, great, great color. And this might be a new formula too. It wasn't overly too much for me. You know, I don't prefer powdered. I don't know if there's cream in here, but I don't really favor NATASHA DENONA highlighters because it adds a little texture. But this one is a lot better than, it must be a new reformulation. I would say this has been a win for me. My skin tone, don't bother getting the light, but I do like this. Now, out of all the NATASHA DENONA products, how does it rank? I mean, I think if you're a true NATASHA DENONA fan, you likely have this color story already. If you are interested in getting this palette and you're my complexion or similar, I would recommend the dark palette, or I affectionately call it the deep palette. It's definitely, the light one is just, I had to work to make it work for me here. And the deep one is just beautiful. So, and I just think when you have a deeper palette, it's more versatile. Now, if you're a NATASHA DENONA fan and you own, I would say, a lot of her products already, I feel like if you own the Glam and the Bronze palette, or something similar to the Mini Nude palette, I think you can get a very similar look. And actually, I think you'd probably get even a prettier look with one of these. So do you need the Face Glam palette? No, I really don't think so. So if you're like, if you want it, I'm never gonna tell you you shouldn't get it. But if you're asking me, like, if I have these two or one of these is it, do I need this palette? You don't need it. You don't need it. You could definitely dupe the look with one of these because there's some warm tones in there. Do you see that? That it reminds me of the vibes of the bronze palette. Maybe not so much the glam, but this is a beautiful palette. I would say $59 and then this is $65. Save your coin for this or the bronze palette. I actually like the glam palette much more than the bronze because the bronze has a lot of fallout. I don't know what it is. So if you are bothered by fallout of shimmer shades, I would say you might want to think about Natasha Denona either wetting the brush or using some sort of glitter glue or that Astral Eyes, IntensifEYES product, because she was a hot mess. I get a little bit irritated, and this is why I have stopped reaching for my Natasha Denona palettes a lot. Like, Dior has come for my money and my time and space and love. Like, those are some shimmer shades that are not as like impactful and beautiful as Natasha Denona. However, the fuss and the fallout, I don't get that from Dior. And so, I'm a busy working professional parent, and I don't want to have to like be going the day with like, oh, I kind of have glitter fallout. Excuse me, or like be in meetings and doing this. Like, I don't find that with Dior at all. Like, I put it on, she's solid all day, no fuss, doesn't get in my eyes, and then I take it off at the end of the day. I don't have any glitter issue. But I do find that with Natasha Denona, like, she's fussy. She's beautiful, but she's fussy. So I'm finding that I'm actually veering towards usage of other palettes such as Dior lately. Even Charlotte Tilbury, like, those are beautiful shimmer shades too, and I don't get fallout from those. So just something to consider if you're new to Natasha Denona. And feel free to disagree with me. Like, I mean, maybe mine is an unpopular opinion, and I know people can be polarizing about like, I love Natasha Denona or whatever. Like, they're just really faithful to certain brands, but I'm just gonna always tell you my opinion of like where I'm at of makeup usage, because this stuff is expensive and we're consumers. And this is a review, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. I think then go ahead and start your own YouTube channel. You do you. So I want to encourage that, like, we don't have to agree. This is just, my channel, and this is what my opinion is. So, if I would go back and think about the sale, would I get these again? I definitely would not get the light palette. I would really think about, this is why I don't do monthly reviews. I don't do monthly reviews because I don't feel like I have enough time to really, really test out the product. And that's just me. And I try to do like 1 or 2 monthly roundups of my faves. And I was filming them and I was like, I just don't, for me, this is just me, I don't feel comfortable saying like, this is my favorites of this month. And I just like literally bought it 2 weeks before, if that makes sense. I want at least probably like 2 to 3 months to, in the way I feel with integrity, to tell you what I recommend. I need time to really sit with the product, to really in earnest tell you, this is what I recommend of my favorites. And so what I'm probably going to do, and I'm still thinking about it, is I'm likely going to do like a quarterly view of like my fall roundups, winter roundups, like spring roundups, summer. So like kind of like a quarterly basis. So I at least have 3 months to really work and try the product as opposed to a first impressions. And that's why I've been hesitating now. This is all a first impression with a product. And I already know, because I was getting frustrated, like the light's not going to work for me, but I cannot unequivocally say like, you need the dark palette. So if that makes sense, like I can probably tell you at the end of the year because I'll have time to tell you. But if you're like, I need to jump on this and take advantage of the VIB sale, go ahead and buy it. You're in charge of you. And, but I don't feel comfortable saying like, you need this palette. Now, if you're deciding, like, you're like, which one should I get? I would say dark, because it's, if you're my skin tone or around there, I think it's going to be a better value for your money, and you don't have to work as hard to get like a product like this. So I think this is like an effortless, like really beautiful glam look. Is it anything original in my collection? No. So let me know below if you ended up picking up this palette from the Sephora sale, or if you're planning on it. And if you are, like, which light or dark, if you're planning to pick it up. Let me know if you've had the similar experience with Natasha Denona, like some fallout or none. I'm just curious. or if you do love the matte formula, or if you find it a little bit cumbersome to have to make it work. So I've heard different things about it, and I'm just telling you my experience. Like, I still use my NATASHA DENONA product. I have quite a few number of her palettes. There's actually more down there, and so I love it for her color curation, that she is more adventurous and that's luxury beauty. I love her color curation. I just wish there wasn't so much fallout in her glitter shades, and that they weren't so sensitive that sometimes they actually break. I'm thinking out of all my eyeshadow collection, her shadows are the ones that break the most, that I have to press back in. And I've actually used some before where I'm actually putting it up and then it'll fall out. So that has not happened with any of my other luxury beauty products. Not even luxury beauty, like mid to like, I don't own too much drugstore, but like mid-range eyeshadow, that's never happened to those products. And this is luxury beauty. It's pretty expensive. So, you know, I think I can count already, like there's 3 shimmer shades that have literally fallen out of the pan that are NATASHA DENONA. So just something to note. It does irk me. That's why I'm like always a little bit, I'm not always on the bandwagon to buy NATASHA DENONA when it comes out, and I usually wait for reviews, but I saw this face palette and that it was light and dark, and the colors spoke to me, and I don't regret, well, I regret getting the light, but I don't regret getting the dark, if that makes sense. That's it for my review, beauty fam. Chime down below what you think of the palette if you have it, or if you're thinking about getting it, any thoughts you have. I haven't watched anyone's reviews, so you can chime below what you've been hearing. And if you enjoy the content today, please consider joining the Mickey Carr Beauty Fam. I would love it if you subscribed. And so you hit the subscribe button below, and then make sure to ring the bell so that you get the notification when a new video of mine uploads. I aim to upload at least 2, sometimes 3 videos per week. And then go ahead and join me on Instagram, because often I try to post things daily in stories, reels, and TV, often looks and some content that I don't upload on YouTube. So if you're interested in this content, then follow me over there. Please take good care of yourself and others. And as always, be you. And until the next time, the next video, I'll see you then. Take good care. Bye.